Welcome to the Highlander CEDH podcast, show where we talk about tournament CEDH. Real quick, before we start, a couple announcements. My tournament Highlander 3 is happening on September 26th at the Woodside Event Center in Broadview Heights, Ohio. It's fun, it's competitive, we celebrate the players, we give away booster packs every round, we host feature matches, we random Swiss pods so they can win secret CEDH staples from staple provider Duluth. Now we're going to get that right. And we always have great vendors, a full cafeteria on site, so you don't got to go, running around for lunch trying to find something between rounds. Last time we had 90 players. We're already over 30. Super pumped. We're like 2 months out. And I'm really hoping this time we get over that 100 mark. I'm also going to be at the Columbus Excalibur event in about a week and a half, 2 weeks from now. So if you see me there, say what's up. Today, my guest is with Kyle Schaff. Kyle's a local Ohio player. He's a close friend of mine. And he's most famous for having the most wins on Top Deck with the deck Blue Farm. So pretty great player. He's been playing his entire life and he's amassed a pretty ridiculous collection of Magic cards. So today I ask every guest what they want to do. And Kyle said, hey man, we want to sit down and have a conversation. And then afterwards do a deck tech and I can showcase some of the art that I have. Cause I think, I've worked really hard over a lot of years to, basically create this Blue Farm deck that is very special and unique to me. And that's what we did. So the first half is a conversation about the meta, Kyle's opinion on where everything's at and how he plays. Second half, we go deep into the deck that he brought, and we talk about the art that he's gotten done on his cards. It's going to be really special, a little different format, but I'm really excited. So without further ado, let's get into the show. All right. What's up, dude?
Hey,
How's it
thanks
going?
for having me, man.
Welcome back from Europe.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome trip. One for the books.
Where'd you go? You went to Italy, right?
So we flew into Milan in Italy, got a rental car, spent a couple days there, drove up to Zurich in Switzerland. From there, we went to Munich in Germany, got to drive some no speed limit roads.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
What'd you drive?
We had a crappy little Peugeot rental.
Okay, cool.
From Munich, we went to Prague, to Vienna, back to Munich. Then we did the back roads through Liechtenstein and the Alps, and then back to Milan.
Just basically a giant road trip. Did you guys do like hostels or hotels, or how'd you?
We did hotels, and when we were in Milan at the end, they upgraded us from a base room to a $700 room for free. So we paid like $150 a night and got to stay in a suite. It was awesome.
Oh my God. Europe is so fun. The only challenge is, so you went in June. Okay. So was it like ungodly hot? Because even the nice rooms sometimes in those old hotels have shitty AC.
We didn't have AC in Prague, but we got so lucky with the weather. It was really nice, a little bit of rain until the last 2 days, and then it was like 96 and humid in Italy. So, but we were at the end of a 2-week vacation. We drove 2,000 miles. So at that point, we didn't really, we kind of wanted to chill and eat some pizza.
And embrace the heat after like a week. So my family, we got to go stay there for a week, and my dad bought this like super expensive villa for us and our cousins, and like all the parents chipped in. And we stayed there for like a week and a half. And on the first day we get to the villa and we notice like, dude, this is like Roman villa in a vineyard. The windows are like single pane. Some of them didn't exist. It was like freaking holes in the outer rooms.
Oh no.
And we were like, oh no, there's like no AC in this place. So we just cooked for like a week and a half. It was like 90 degrees. We were like, this sucks.
Oh wow. I wouldn't have been able to sleep.
This was like, I don't know, 2010 or something. So I'm in high school, and you don't have like the internet's not the same as it is now, where you can literally like do a virtual tour of these places. So my dad had no idea they didn't have AC. He didn't check, because he's an oaf like me, and so we were just like, did we get cool air or not? So I don't know. It was fun. I'm glad you had fun, dude. I'm glad you guys had a good time. You had some break from playing and
play
from
for almost a
work.
month, man.
Yeah. How's that coming back? Because you played in Bastion this past weekend. We're recording this around the end of June. How was it coming back into the format after a break? Because I know you were grinding a lot before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I try and play. I only play on Saturdays. I don't practice. I don't play casually. I only play tournaments on Saturdays. So I try and play 2 to 3 times a month. And I went from doing that to not playing for a whole month. I was kind of in a slump when I left a little bit, not performing to my standards.
Mm-hmm.
But I got back in top 16 at Bastion, so an acceptable result.
Hell yeah, man. So you only play on Saturdays. I want to get into that because you've told me that a bunch of times when we hang out and stuff like that. And it just blows my mind because you and I are in such different, like, I don't know, like points in the hobby, I guess, because I don't want to call it a career. That's hilarious. But it's I came in like beginning of 2024. You've seen me play since I started playing, and I have to play for like the first 2 years of this hobby. I played like every other day, I mean, like just grinding. And like a lot of the guys I've been talking to are the same way. They'll go on Spell Table on Tuesday, Thursday, and then they'll go out on Friday to the LGS and they'll play like 20 games in a week, and then they'll come to the tournament. And then you come over and you're like, yeah, I just play like once a week. Or,
Well, to be fair, I've been playing Magic since 2002.
Okay.
And I played quite a bit when I was a kid with my brother casually.
Yeah.
So I've had quite a bit of time to build up kind of that experience and a little bit of that knowledge. Got into CEDH in 2023, and I try and play 2 to 3 times a month when possible. I'd say I average probably 2 Saturdays a month.
Mm-hmm.
So I've still got a decent amount of CEDH experience. I think I have maybe 500 some games on my top deck from just playing on Saturdays.
Did you play RCQs when you were growing up and like regular 60 card and stuff like that?
I played exclusively casual 60 until probably 2016 or 2017.
Really?
Got into Legacy and Vintage, then got into Modern. And then Legacy was kind of destroyed by the initiative. I'm sure some of you remember that.
They mentioned that in the BNR this week. They mentioned how like so there's a 3-man. I'm gonna interrupt the shit out of you, by the way. There was a 3-man artifact in the new Avengers set, Fantasticar.
Oh
that's
yeah,
really blazing through Legacy, and people are really upset because they did not.
Blazing through Vintage too.
Yeah, and they were like, well, this is like the initiative. They said that in the video today, which by the way, that's when we were recording this. They said that today. They were like, well, the initiative really didn't mess with Legacy. People adapted to it. So we're going to do the same thing with Fantasticar.
I worked really hard collecting because I'm a collector more than a player. And I built an absolutely gorgeous 5-color Yorion Zenith deck, which is 80 cards for those of you familiar with Yorion.
20 card up, right?
But, right.
Yeah.
But then I got proceeded to get smoked by the initiative every round of every tournament for like 9 months. And so I decided to move to CEDH.
What cards specifically in the initiative, or did it not freaking matter?
Oh, just the card advantage and the advantage you get that is uninteractable from the initiative was just completely backbreaking to any control strategy.
Really? Because it just completely circumvents you casting spells, basically, and countering things. Okay, that's interesting. I have no, like, basis for understanding how that is powerful versus like my brain is CEDH and Modern. Like I have no idea how the initiative would be backbreaking, but that makes sense when you think about it because at the time it probably was like an emergent mechanic. There wasn't a lot of tools that we have today to counter something like that, right?
Well, it was just hard because in Legacy you used to be able to, your opponent would play a threat, you'd remove it, and the threat would be gone.
So it'd be like a one, like a
1 for
thing.
1.
Yeah.
But if you gain the initiative, you search your deck for basic land, you're already up a card. I use a removal spell on your card, which means you're up a card, and you still have the initiative, and you go through and you make a 4/1, and you eventually go through the Hall of the Bandit Lord or whatever the bottom one is, and you look at your top 10, you put out another initiative card, and it's just not a 1 for 1. And they ran so much acceleration and so many of those threats that you couldn't just get away with force of willing. They also ran Cavern. It was just completely
So you spam the initiative basically, and through that you basically are getting extra spells through every room you go through in the initiative, and that's how they outvalue you in the long run. Interesting. Yeah, and it's not like it's one freaking effect too. It's like a cornucopia of effects that they can choose where to go. So not only is it advantage, you're also they can adapt to whatever they need to do in the game by going through different paths in the initiative, right? In the dungeons.
And then after the initiative, they actually printed Beanstalk, which made like 80% of my deck immediately unplayable.
Yeah.
So, I'm a collector. As you'll see in the deck tech, I put a lot of effort into playing a beautiful deck because then I'll have fun if I win. I'll have fun if I lose. I'll even have fun if I have opponents that I don't particularly enjoy interacting with just by looking at my collection.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of effort into building my Legacy deck, and then it was rendered obsolete overnight.
So to you, it's like, is that one of the reasons you gravitate towards CEDH is because the stability of the format and the ability to invest in the deck without worrying about a ban coming through and taking...
That's what initially brought me to the format, but what's kept me in the format is all the people, man. The community is amazing. You actually talk to your opponent instead of just putting a card and putting a card on the table and pointing.
Yeah.
You can talk to your opponent about your opponent's deck because it's not a secret what they're on because you show your commanders before the game. and you actually get to have good constructive conversations during the game to work towards a common objective. You kind of get to build rapport and utilize teamwork, whereas that's not something you do at 60 card.
Right. Yeah, not everybody sees it that way. It's an interesting point of view. I like that a lot, where the way you described the game is very different than I think a lot of people think about the game. And I think that it's so funny, the more good players I talk to, because like week over week up, this is like the 5th episode we're going to do. And so I just talked to Avi about how he plays. And I put a mirror up to myself. I said, what are the ways that I play? Like, do I have tells? Do I play inefficiently? And he said, yeah, you kind of changed the pace of play. And he made me, he's like, you and Ian are very similar in that when you have something, I know you do, because you like rush the game a little bit and you want to get to what you're trying to do. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it made me think a lot about how the good players that I'll play against, which we're lucky to do in Ohio because there's so many good players, they care as much, if not more, about the personal aspect of the game and how the game goes about than the cards they're playing and the selections they make. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've been asked before why I don't play more novel cards in my deck, but really I think my goal is to have fun first and foremost, go out, hang out with my friends on Saturdays, and provide a good experience for the people I play against. And you know, I'm not here trying to make a living. I'm here trying to have fun.
Yeah.
And I also think if you are somebody who is likable, approachable, you work well with others, you're going to gain value from that in the long term. Even if you're unconcerned with providing a good play experience, you still gain advantage from being somebody who is nice and is likable in the game.
Dude, that's a really good point. It's like, okay, even if you're not someone that cares so much about making everybody have a good time, which I try to be, I'm really focusing on more, you just get positive EV from making sure everybody has a good time, because you're going to play these same people. This format is small. You're going to play the same people over again, maybe not every month over month because they're all local to you, but in the larger tournaments, you're going to see the same good players because how small our format is, how social it is. Like, so it just, even if you don't care about making everybody have a good time, you will have a better record innately from making sure people enjoyed the experience of playing against you. Not that you have to freaking give them a hug every time you see them. Like, some people aren't comfortable with that, or talk till the end of time like we are. But just like being courteous and the way you describe playing the game, moving towards a common goal, of a positive play experience, and, the not uncommon goal of winning the game, but still like progressing the game
common
forward.
goal of not losing the game to whoever's trying to win.
Okay, cool. Not losing the game. Okay.
But also, think about the most annoying person you can think of in game. Don't say the person's name out loud. Think about somebody that you sit down from and you kind of dread playing. And then think about sitting across from Ian Loaf. If there's a 50-50 decision, is that the same person?
No, I'm kidding. I love you.
But if there's a 50-50 decision, you're more likely to favor the person that has treated you well in the past. Mm-hmm. So even if you're not concerned with the personal aspect of providing a fun play experience, you still get good value from treating people well.
Do you feel like there's a level of player, and there's players that have like a no-win average, there's players that have a 1 or 2 sometimes, and then there's the guys that you see in the top tables, and the people in the middle, I feel like, are the ones that try and leverage the gotcha wins as much as they can, and that is why they can't get that second, third win consistently, is because they're focusing on tricking their opponents and making them feel like they got tricked. You know what I mean? Versus almost the presentation of your win is as important as getting to it. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
I think playing as one would be considered honorable or truthful is important for making deals, important for being somebody that has kind of a good rapport at the table. If you are the kind of guy who casts a Grand Abolisher and I say, are you winning? And you say no, and then you play Final Fortune, it's technically not a lie, and I have no problem with you doing that. But next time you cast Grand Abolisher, I'm not even going to ask. I'm going to force a will it. I'm not going to try and write a piece of legislature about what you're allowed and not allowed to do. I'm not going to try and think of every single out and take 5 minutes, orating.
So what do you do? Because you're, spoiler alert, we haven't talked about your record, but you are probably the most prolific blue farm player that I know personally. I know there's a lot of other really good ones that I don't play against every weekend, but you're really, really good at it, and your record can show it. I'm going to go look it up. do you feel like I'm almost losing my question now? How do you handle that honorable play of not tricking people without losing in unwinnable scenarios? Like, how do you thread that needle? Because I feel like that's where I break down, because I go, yeah, I want to play honorably, sure, but then I'll scum some, like, you know, if I'm like, there's no way out of this, maybe not scum, but like a game I did at Tabernacle that I still feel bad about is I'll make this really quick because we're on a pod, but basically I was going third. I had an ad nauseum. I was playing Thrasios File Smasher, which is a 5-color turbo list or 4-color turbo list without white. Put ad nauseum on the stack. Rog Thras before me flared it, and he had a Force of Will that he could have used on my Nas. He went through his whole thing, and we talked about the deal of I can stop at 6 or 7 cards. We can talk about it. Never confirmed it. Let the stack clear. Let my ad nauseum resolve, and I won the game. I was like, cool. And I just went all the way down, and he was like, oh my God, we never talked about doing the deal. We just discussed doing the deal. And I was like, yep. And to me, that's a scummy move.
I disagree, man.
Okay, so
that's a line right there. If there's no deal made, there's nothing to, I mean, you're not here trying to help other people win.
Right.
But when there is an understanding that isn't fully spelled out, it does behoove you in the long term to follow that, not only to make people avoid feeling like they were cheated, but also people are going to want to make deals. They're going to want to pass you the wish claw if they know that they don't need to spell out every single little, small fine print thing about when you are and are not allowed to use it and what you're allowed to do with it. And if they know that you're going to abide by what the clear understanding of the deal is, and you're not going to wordsmith them, you're going to get so many more deals.
Yeah.
People are going to want to pass you the wish claw. People are going to want to choose you for scheming symmetry if they know that I say I'm going to get a counter spell, and I get a silence, and be like, well, it's technically, like, no.
Yeah. So let's talk about scheming symmetry is a perfect segue into your list and some interesting cards. I also run scheming symmetry separate. You and I kind of chatted about it, and I was like, I'm running this, and you were like, me too. It's a good freaking card. And I think it's because in our format, it's just another top deck tutor. It's sorcery speed, but it's a political move. And if you're somebody who can wheel and deal with people, not in a bad way, but be like, hey, I have this card. It lets both of us tutor. Can we agree on a card for you to grab? And I'm basically gifting you a tutor. I did that, and we're going to talk. So Evan was on. He played Cabbage Merchant. And he had this crazy run. He's a buddy. He's a local. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I know. Evan G.
Evan. I think so. Dapper Pigeon is his Discord name.
I'm not on Discord.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, I think his last name is G. But anyways, he was playing Cabbage Merchant, and I did Scheming Symmetry with him against Ian. And I said, hey, can you go get a Force of Vigor? Because I'm pretty sure Ian's going to push with a Necro. All I ask is that I'm going to play a Ristic, and you don't use it on my Ristic. I don't care. I'm not going to not to, whatever. That's the deal. And I thought it was pretty consensus, like a good deal. And Ian lost his mind, but Evan was like, let's do it. You know what I mean? It worked out. It worked out for the short term. So
Scheming Symmetry is a difficult card to play. I've been playing it for months and I love it. But if you just read the words that are on the card, it's kind of a bad card. But like you said, there are different ways you can play it. So I like to use it on turn 1 to get my heuristic study. And I'll look at the player who I think wants the game to go along with me. The player that mulliganed low. Mm-hmm. And I'll often just show them the card before I even put it on the table and say, hey man, I'm thinking about trying to get a heuristic. Like what do you want to get? And I'll pose the question and I'll have them kind of walk themselves into something that I like. So if they say, they're clearly going to try and get away with whatever they want, whatever they need for their hand. So maybe they'll say like, oh man, can I get a silence? And it's like, well, I don't know. Silence is kind of threatening. Like, what do you need a silence for? And if they don't have a good answer, you can be like, well, I don't want you to be able to defend your own win. So what about like a Mind Break Trap if you're concerned about the Roxai over a silence? Because you can't usually use a Mind Break Trap in the early game to defend your win. And then we'll kind of find common ground. And if we can't, then I'll have to choose somebody else. But usually to set a precedent that, you don't really want to cross me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just give it to somebody else, no strings attached. If we can't come to an agreement, I'm a pretty reasonable guy. If we can't come to an agreement, I'm just going to give it to Roxai and we'll see what happens.
There's like in minutia details of this card, but is there a reason you're asking them to make a decision and guiding them towards it versus you saying, hey, do you have this card in your deck? Can you go tutor this up?
If there's a very specific piece that I want them to get, I'll put it forward.
Okay, you will.
But in general, when you're working together with someone, you want to give them... It can pay to have them, pose the opening move. And you can kind of gauge, like, okay, what does this player need? Does this player need an Ancient Tomb? Does this player need a land drop? Does this play, like maybe that player needed, I don't know, maybe he needed his value engine. I can kind of gauge what's in their hand by asking them first instead of saying, I want you to get a land. And what you needed to win the game was an Ancient Tomb. And now I just gave it to you for free, no strings attached.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting.
Also,
I feel like it's so contextual. Right, go ahead. Sorry.
For sure. And another way to use this card is late game. You just choose the non-Ristic player, attack with your Tymna, cast your Git Probe, and it's just another Imp Seal. It doesn't cost you life.
That's so good. I didn't think about that. You can just grab the top. Yeah.
Grab it. If you're going to win the game that turn, it doesn't matter what that player draws if they don't have access to the top of their deck.
Yep. Oh, so cool. Yeah. So, all right, we're talking about specific card selections. We talked about a little bit of like politics in the game and how you navigate that. Talked about how you play once a week because you've been playing since the beginning of time. You don't necessarily need to. I think, by the way, so I've started to play less during the week and just more in tournaments like you because I feel like I've kind of, I hit burnout periods. I think if I'm playing 4 to 10 times a week, it's like almost brutal to go to the tournament and your mind is almost tired of even thinking about the deck that you're playing.
You don't have the energy to politic properly. You don't have the energy to look for the tells. That's what I found. Even if I play too many tournaments, if I play every weekend for 6 weeks straight or something, I just find that I let things go. I let people pass the Wish Claw, and it's like, man, I don't want to spend 5 minutes here explaining why I should be the Wish Claw target and I should be able to get an Ancient Tomb and why I should be able to do this. It's like, yeah, dude, if you think he's the right choice, go ahead. Like, we'll just lose,
So do you think it's like repetition is good to a point, and if you're new in the format, it is good to do that for a period of time, but I think CEDH is becoming a more mature format in general, and I think people are realizing how to do it long-term and be successful in a sustained way versus just like the first couple of years that it's been a format. And the whole point I'm trying to get is it's good in the beginning to learn the format, learn the players, and a part of that is just getting beats in and just playing a million games. But then once you hit a certain point of understanding and you understand the card pool enough, and even like the players you're playing against at locals, you don't necessarily need to do that much. And some people, I think, are stuck in that rut of like play, and then they come to tournaments and they lose EV because they're trying to fast track the game when this is a game of nuance and patience, and you can't fast track it just because you're tired of playing it.
I think what you said is definitely accurate for me and probably accurate for you.
Yeah.
But I also think it depends on the person. If you're the type of person who can play twice a week and not feel any sort of burnout and not lose energy, then absolutely go for it.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's important to take the games that you played and properly reflect on them. Think about every game action. Think about everything and avoid trying to lay blame on others. If somebody else did something that you don't think is correct, sure, they made a play that you think is incorrect, but you should have done something to talk them out of it. You should have said something differently to convince them that wasn't a good thing to do.
You had agency in the game. You're a fourth of the game.
There are unwinnable games where you mulligan to 3 and you didn't see a land and you didn't have a chance, but I would say the majority of games, there are things that everybody could have improved on. And so I've gained a lot of... I've improved my game quite a bit by just thinking about my games throughout the week, thinking about, man, what if I search up Smothering Tithe instead of Ristic? How is the game different there? Or what if I offered this deal? Or what if I said this differently? What if I proposed this question at this time to try and get information? And then you take those experiences forward and they build on each other week by week, and slowly you become a much better player.
So, okay, I think we're going to do the deck tech after this discussion in order in the video, but when we go through and people watch that, the one thing I noticed, because I just kind of sat behind you and watched you kind of present the cards and talk about the stories, is you don't change a lot of things in your list. You're a prolific blue farm player. Some people think that's like, oh my gosh, he never plays another list. But I respect the fact that you are so committed to that list. And after watching you go through each and every card, it's an interesting and like almost refreshing change of pace from the normal average CDH player that I think like collects the base card because they're new to the format or whatever, and they want to play a bunch of decks like me. I play a bunch of decks to my detriment, you know? I feel like I've taken a much more methodical approach to the format in the game, in that you're like, this is my list. I know it performs well. Here are the cards, and I'm going to commit to these cards so much that I'm going to get them altered in a way that is meaningful to me. And that almost gives you like this lock-in of, this is how I'm choosing to approach the format. And everything I'm trying to get to here is, you don't have to think about the cards you swapped. So me and Abby actually had a conversation about how he's been struggling over the past couple months, grinding, and it's partially because he swaps like 6 or 7 cards out between every tournament. And he's like, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it's like too much change.
Oh yeah.
And like, I think the whole contrast I'm trying to make is that you don't have barely any change. Like sometimes you'll switch your list up and you'll go, I'm going more turbo this time, or I'm going more control this time. But it's a very intentional change, and you're changing out a package of cards that you're still used to playing with. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it gives you a level of comfortability in the game when you have a consistent list that allows you to think about the things that you're talking about thinking about, which is, how do I say this thing? How's this person taking what I'm saying? What could I have done in that scenario? What other thing could I have tutored up? And you don't have to think about the 3 cards you just put in the list that you could have tutored up, because it's a static list relatively. You're making modifications with the meta, but for the most part, it's the same cards you're looking for every time. Right?
Well, first and foremost, I'm here as a social outlet. I'm here to have fun.
Yeah.
Secondarily, I'm a collector, and I've collected the deck, and that it provides me more joy than tournament results. And winning is kind of tertiary. Playing, actually physically moving the cardboard around and trying to win money is like a tertiary goal of mine. So it kind of plays well into my familiarity with my list, that I played Rogside for 2 months. Other than that, I played Farm for 3 years, and that's all I played. And I played different packages, and I've tried different things, and I've adapted with the meta here and there. But I do play the same list every week because I really enjoy the cards. And I draw a hand of 7 cards, and 4 out of 7 of them have cool stories and cool memories associated with them, and they're fancy. And even if I'm losing on turn 1, I'm smiling, looking at my cards, remembering like, oh yeah, Francesco's with me in line for 9 hours to get this altar, and oh, it was so much fun. And
I feel like that's not fair though, because you win so much in a good way. I'm not trying to blow you up. I'm sorry.
Appreciate the gas.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm not trying to do that, but I'm just saying, like, you're such a competitive player that I hear you, and maybe that's the mindset that you have. But the result of that is everybody else is trying to win so desperately. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's like, I want to get that win. That's why I'm in this format. And so it's so funny to hear you say, well, winning is tertiary to me. It's tertiary. I want to have fun. I want to collect and enjoy my collection. And then winning's a byproduct almost of that.
Well, if the only thing that you are focused on is winning at all costs, you're going to burn bridges. You're going to make deals and lie. You're going to do things that hurt your long-term value, your EV. So if winning is your top goal, and that's totally fine, but just make sure you realize that the actions that you take and the times that you've gotten really frustrated and tilted out, all those affect all the people around you. You're providing a negative experience if you tilt out on somebody for swordsing your crawl at the wrong spot.
Yep.
And next time you play with that person's going to remember that you're like, well, fine, then he's just going to win. They're going to remember that.
You start the game at a level of tension that is unnecessary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that, burning those bridges that, people talk. There are all sorts of private groups, and you're going to get a reputation quickly as the guy who only cares about winning and breaks deals.
Do things, lie.
Oh yeah. So I think it actually does play into my hands that that is not my absolute primary goal, to make money. I'm not trying to sell coaching and
right. And you're saying that's intention. It's not even an intention of yours to do that. It's just your intention is to collect and have fun. And it's been an interesting byproduct of that you've had success. Say that.
Definitely.
Cool, man. That's interesting. I love it. So, okay, let's talk about Bastion. Where are we at? Oh, we're good. Okay. So let's talk about Eldritch Bastion this weekend. So the meta right now, I want to kind of discuss that, and we can use Bastion as like a microcosm of that, if that makes sense. So how did the games go? We don't have to go game by game, but how did the games go? What did you feel about how the meta is at right now? Is there anything notable to like talk about in terms of
Yeah,
how
dude.
it's changed in the last couple months?
I got the perfect story for you.
Okay.
Robert Postlethwaite, shout out. You're really fun to play with. He had the classic Ristic study, followed by flash photography from hand, followed by flashback, flash photography. So this guy has Ristic study on the battlefield, and he uses a D6 to denote how many Ristic studies he has. And I think that's just kind of a perfect expression of where we're at in the format.
Oh my God. So you want Ristic Study to stay around?
I mean, he was using a die, like, this isn't treasure tokens, man. This is like Ristic tokens. Like, it's just ridiculous, man. That's where we are in the format, is either you're casting Ristic and cloning Ristic, or you're trying to get underneath those players, and then if you don't win, then the Ristic player wins. And it's crazy, man. There used to be a lot more, back in 2023, you used to be able to do game plans like, okay, I'm turn 1, I'm going to play Archivist Dogma. Turn 2, I'm going to play this Dothy Voidwalker. And then after that, I'm going to play Timna, and I'm going to hold up, Containment Priest and Red Blast.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude, if you try to do that now,
You get blown out.
it's like, not a chance.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
So,
Half the people like that you're doing that because you're slowing the game down while they can cast their value engines. You know what I mean?
well, they can cast their value engine and then clone it, and then play a different value engine and then clone it again. And they're going to sit there, and then you're going to play a Mox Opal, and 30 triggers are going to hit the stack, and those triggers are going to create triggers.
Nice Containment Priest, nerd. You're dead.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me the win with that cast. Yeah, it's so funny, man. Like, so blanket opinion is is it study, or is it the game's developed to a point where everybody's recognizing value engines are the best thing to be doing, and they're now basically just optimizing decks towards that?
My initial opinion was Born Upon a Wind and Valley Flood Caller were problematic because they were enabling people to play Ristic, clone Ristic, then play a Tithe and sit there for an hour and then try and win. But upon reflecting on that and talking to Ian Loesch, shout out Ian, talk to him on the phone all the time. He helps me kind of figure out ideas. But I kind of realized that those cards get a lot worse if you ban Ristic. You don't need to take action against those cards because the current play pattern is as fast Ristic as you can, as fast second Ristic as you can, and then some sort of mana engine, at least in farm. And in a lot of these value lists, Kinnan, Rogishai, that's the game plan of all of these, is some sort of mana and multiple Ristics. And then you don't even need to have anything, because if I'm in a pod with Ian, Andy, and Kevin, if I'm Hellbent, but I have 2 Ristics and a Tithe, I'm going to draw into the win before anyone can win. Someone's going to play a Silence, and 30 spells are going to hit the stack, and I'm going to have a grip so big I need 4 hands to look at it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's tough, dude. Is that, maybe we can talk about this too. So Blue Farm is the primary list, right? Both of us play it. I just re-sleeved it up. I feel like I stopped playing it like 6 months ago, and then I just started picking it up and playing it again. It's like, this is a turbo deck almost now in the meta. Like,
it used to be the best mid-range deck, and now it's not even close. So
no way.
I feel like Blue Farm has kind of lost what it's always been good at. I don't think it's the best deck, even like, I don't even think it's top 3 best decks right now. Personally, I know it's kind of a hot take.
It is a hot take. I don't disagree with you though. I'm like, I think people are just in recency bias or something or no, not recency bias. Well, what is it? Confirmation bias, where like it's been the best deck for a long time, so people are still playing it and trying to make it work. I told Abby, he laughed at me. He's like, well, how can you say it's unique? I'm like, I think playing Blue Farm right now in the meta is actually like, because it's not the best thing to be doing, it's more exciting to me personally. I'm like, all right, I'm coming back to this now that I don't feel like I'm so overpowered in the game. And you have to thread a needle almost where and this isn't for everybody, but I feel like the decks that I like to play are versions of Blue Farm I like to play are, you're doing some setup in the beginning, and then 3 and 4 are really your window of opportunity, like somewhere in there. And then if it goes past that, you lose equity every turn. Not even every turn, but every player turn after that.
Depending on how you build your list, which 99% of lists, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's tough. And the reason being is the Rogishais and the cloning heuristics and stuff like that.
And the Kinnans that you can't deal with. And then if there's God forbid, there's a Sisay or a Magda at the table.
Yeah. You're like, okay, now we're extra screwed, which Sisay seems to be way overpowered. I mean, I was playing against some guys last night, and Shang-Chi makes that deck so much more like quick. Like, and we're talking about like the modern Sisay, not the Super Friends Sisay that's running all the Planeswalkers, because I don't think that's the best version of the list anymore. I think it's like an in-between Chowder and that, where you're still winning through activations, but you're doing it with better cards. That seems to be the hybrid list that's doing the best. And adding all these powerful creatures like Shang-Chi just makes it a turn faster almost. Did you feel like that?
I'm definitely not qualified to speak on Sisay, but what I will say is Matt Sweeney beat me at semifinals on Sisay last week, and then he took down the whole event. So, I mean, he's, the best of the best on Sisay, but I did get to see the raw power of that deck in 2026.
It's so funny because he played Sisay for the longest time, and he switched over to Kinnan, did really well with Kinnan, and then he's back on Sisay because I feel like that deck has the best staying power in the format, because Wizards always printing these busted legends, and so every time a new one comes out, it's like, okay, here's a new angle of attack that I can take and swap out my last busted legend for this one, you know what I mean? And also the CMC of all these freaking things is going down, so it means that your tutor chains have like better entry points almost. That feels like a weird way to say it, but you're not like waiting for the 5 mana legend that you need to win the game. You can really do it with like a 2 or 3, like, you know what I mean?
Well, Sisay can also play the sit-around game even better than all the Rhystic decks, because Sisay is happy to see 9 Rhystics hit the battlefield and sit there behind a Cabbage Merchant and just cast your silence, like cast your stuff.
Yep.
Then when all the dust settles and I have 80 food tokens, I can activate, 10 times in a row, and there's no way anybody's stopping me.
Good luck.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. It's like a lightning rod, like it goes from 0 to 100, and it just basically plays that passive game. That's such a good point.
One other real quick thing I wanted to mention about Rhystic Study, and then I'll let it go, is I think it causes a lot of early game draws as well that I'm not sure if everybody realizes. But if player 1 jams a turn 2 Rhystic, then player 2 says, cool, end step, Enlightened Tutor. Yeah, you could draw. Untap, Dark Ritual. Yeah, you could draw. Necropotence. Yeah, you could draw. And then player 3 says, well, I have a Force of Will, but now I'm already down 3 cards. Then I'm going to play my Force, go down a card. Then I'm going to play my top deck Tutor, go down another card. Then I'm going to untap, play my Ancient Tomb, play my Rhystic, go down another. It's like you're already down like 8 cards.
Yeah, the game's over.
And so you're going to show your Force of Will, and you're going to say, I'd like to offer a draw. Unless you have an answer, Mr. Rhystic Study, I'd like to offer a draw.
And that's the right play.
It's the right play.
Yeah.
But if Rhystic goes, and that player said, okay, I'm going to cast a turn 2 Archivist of Ogma and hold this Red Blast. And then, Homie pushes his Necro, it's going to get Force of Will, and the game's going to keep going.
Mm-hmm. So you think it's not necessarily... Like, I want to label that problem as almost like a momentum problem, or...
It's a good way of putting it.
You know what I mean? Like the balance of the game when you put these really, really, really potent value engines out so early gets so imbalanced so fast that it's tough for the players that weren't able to put those out to win. So it's almost like a turbo mid-range. Like the game ends on the same turn as a turbo meta does, but it just takes 4 more freaking turns for it to actually end.
And it also contributes to the seat problem. I mean, 4th seat, first seat's already drawn 10 cards. By the time it's 4th seat's second turn to play their turn 2 Rhystic. Then when it started with the same hand, and now I've got so many cards that they're, stacking on the table, I got to use 2 hands.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And seat 4 just played their Rhystic and has 3 cards in hand. And we have the exact same starting hands. So, I mean, that's still going to be a problem with your Fish. It's still going to be a problem with your Esper Sentinel. I'm not saying that the seat problem's going to go away, but...
Shit. I just had a thought. Lost it. Well, the whole point of the discarding to hand size is supposed to address that, right? But it doesn't, because you have these flash enablers, so...
And you draw on your opponent's turns.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. But my point is, like, I've been playing Heartwood Storyteller in some green lists.
No, Sean!
Well, because I'm like, you know what? If you guys are going to do it, we're all going to do it. That's how I'm going to reset this game. I'm going to make it nice and balanced. And the funny part about that card is the way you actually win with it is you have to have a silence effect typically, but really the way you do it is you kill it going into your turn because everybody's had to discard to hand size even though they've been drawing their decks throughout the other turns.
And you act like you're helping the table. Oh, yeah, you guys want the heart? Fine,
I'll kill it.
I'll sack it. Like, can we stop politicking about it?
And then you go for your win and everybody's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
where's my card draw? It's like, you lost.
Irving, you are the king of doing that, and you need to cut that card. He's playing against it.
Oh, we played a casual game after, I think it was the cookout at Better Place, and he did that exact move, and we did it till the store closed. That just shows you how toxic that freaking card is. But
one card I think would help, though, if Ristic goes, is unban Ancestral Recall. And hear me out.
Dude, the hottest takes. Okay.
Mulligans. If you start with 7 and you turn 1, you have an Ancestral Recall, and you cast it, you're discarding the hand size.
Okay.
If you mulligan low to 4 or something, it helps rebuild your hand back. It helps undo bad mulligans.
Mm-hmm. So it fixes bad mulls.
What do casual players hate? Thassa's Oracle. Right. What beats Thassa's Oracle? Target player draws 3 cards.
Yeah. Boom. Go ahead and kill your Esper Sentinel. I don't care. You're dead with my blue draw spell. Ooh, that's interesting, man.
It's way less busted than Fish. Way less busted. Way less busted than Esper Sentinel. Way less busted than Ristic Study.
Wait a minute. What about combos with Ancestral Recall? I feel like we're like completely...
Dude, probably some combos.
Dude, don't make me do this. Oh my god.
It's a 1-card combo. It's playing Fish on 1 or Fish anytime, late game. Fish any turn of the game.
Literally.
1-card combo, draw your deck.
I can't with you. Maybe Ancestral Recall isn't a bad move. What about, here's another one. What do you think about Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus, bringing those back?
I don't hate it. Yeah. Jeweled Lotus, certainly not problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Mana Crypt, collectability wise, I got a really cool one, so I'd love to see it come back.
Yeah. I'm pissed it's gone, but I actually sent Hire a book about this because I was like, hey man, if you have an ounce of anything to say about this format, please. And he was like, make your pitch, and I basically said him, my whole pitch was Mana Crypt can be played in every deck, and it helps the seat 4 player on turn 1 more than it helps the seat 1 player on turn 1. Okay? Yes, you can get down the turn 1 Ristic Study, but they're going to typically, they're already going to have the ability to put the turn 2 Ristic Study into play. So player 1 having it turn 1 or turn 2 really isn't a huge difference, but player 4 having an ability to put fast, catch up to the game, I think is better. And it's, I don't know,
there are fewer spells played on turn 1 than on turn 2, so having a turn 1 Ristic from first seat is less impactful than having a turn 1 Ristic from seat 4. Is that what you're trying to say? I think
that's what I'm trying to say. I know I'm messing it up, and I had it very eloquently typed when I was sitting on my computer. But that is essentially it, is like, it helps seat 4 more than it helps seat 1 progress in the early game, and because of that, I think it's a good card to play. It also helps with, higher cost commanders and other things like that. And I just thought that was Mana Crypt.
You're convincing me, dude. This is a good pitch.
Oh, it's a terrible pitch, but thanks. So yeah, that was the only thing. So Bastion, just to kind of close out some of the meta where it's at today. Aside from Ristic Slot, a lot of people are saying the meta is healthy because they're seeing a lot of different decks popping up. Do you think that's just a farce, or do you think that's actually
a
true statement?
I like it. I like the meta, but it's just either you're playing Ristic and cloning Ristic as many times as you can in different shells, or you're trying to win before the Ristic players take over the game. So it's just different methods of doing that. And I would love to see another archetype. The archetype of actual control, like Talion, kind of like what Farm used to be, or like a Shurikai style. Or maybe even a Stacks comeback. That would be cool, man. Let me get Blood Moon. Let me get Trinisphered. You're not really seeing stuff like that, because if I have a Ristic down and you play a Stacks piece, it's cool. Well, we'll all sit here, and every game action you take, I'll profit, and so I can bounce the Stacks piece with overwhelming advantage and win the game.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying we'd have to remove the Ristic Study, and by removing the ubiquitous, card draw engine that everybody can play as long as they play blue, allows the game to progress more slowly, which allows more archetypes to evolve into the format again, and just creates a more variety. Whereas right now, there's a lot of different commanders, but
they're all doing the same thing.
The strategies, the archetypes are draw the shit out of the game, draw as many cards as possible, or combo with a very difficult to interact with combo before that can happen, and that's the problem.
Yep.
What's to stop the combo before anything can happen from taking over the format if we get rid of Ristic Study? Because that's what a lot of people's
arguments. A lot of light stacks. Landing a turn 1 Drannith used to be a good play, dude.
Mm-hmm.
like going like gemstones, land, Drannith used to be a good play. And if Turbo really starts taking over and you don't have access to Ristic, instead of turn 1 Ristic or turn 1 setup for turn 2 Ristic, hope I survive, turn 1 light stacks, followed by some sort of turn 2 like Timno or some sort of draw engine, maybe even your Esper Sentinel on turn 2, that stuff could make a comeback.
It literally
When's the last time you saw a Drannith? When's the last time you saw a Dothy?
September.
When's the last time you saw, all those cards that used to be mainstays in farm? And I'm talking from the farm perspective, obviously, but dude, I haven't seen anybody think about playing any of these cards in ages.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, and September's funny. I played Drannith in September, and then that's the last time I really like leveraged the card. You're right. Like, the stacks plan is so niche, and it's something that only works when the meta is trying to be proactive and doesn't have these broken draw tools, I think. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's tough. I don't want to be so negative and talk about, how bad the format is, but I do think it's good.
Great, man.
It's great.
People are great.
Yeah.
I have fun every Saturday, no matter what.
Yeah.
I have fun in the games. I have fun for the games. I have fun after the games. I have fun driving to the event. Like,
same.
Tons of fun.
Yeah.
Only good things to say. I don't mean this to come across as negative either.
Yeah.
Just one card, I think could probably catch a ban and improve the format to be even better.
Yeah. So let's talk about your list, because we're going to go right into the deck tech after this. So
yeah, perfect.
Right now, I feel like you're playing a little more of the, I don't want to call it turbo. It's more of just like the good stuff, mid-range farm. And I think you do really well because you know the list so well and you know the pivot points so well. So you can really get as much value out of all the pieces as you can. I feel like most farm players will try and slant harder one way or another. You know what I mean? They'll go super control. Like Maddie is someone who's well known for being a heavy control player, and she'll play like permission denied and random cards like that. And she's really good at that style. Or like I'll play more of an aggressive farm list where I like Jessica's willing and doing crazy stuff like that. But I feel like you typically stay more in the middle and you lean a little bit one way or another. Where are you at right now?
Well, it's definitely good to play to a deck strengths. But if you're playing to strengths that aren't as good as other lists, then if that's your goal, play the other list. So if I'm trying to play a all the way go long control blue farm, then why wouldn't I just play Rog Ishai? If I'm trying to play absolute full send turbo, why am I not on Rog side?
Right.
So the strength in farm is that it kind of plays the middle really well, and it has access to all these different pieces and diverse game plans. So as such, I can go, turn 2 Tithe in a game where I think that'll be good. Or I can try and mulligan for a plan and use my Vamp Tutor to get Culling the Week and try and jam something crazy. I have those options.
And they're all in the list. And if you keep the highest card quality in the list, which is basically, we're talking about the middle, the farm plan, you can pivot into those if you're a competent pilot without having to overcompensate.
You can play your opponents, you can play their decks, you can play the pod composition. You have those options. If I'm not playing, I used to not play Necro and Nas till probably, end of last year. I wasn't on either card. I was like, I don't want to get stuffed and lose. But then if I'm in a pod with 3 non-blue decks that are all trying to target turn 3 as a window, now I have the option to go get those pieces. And when I have a Dark Ritual and a Vamp Tutor, I can still choose to do it. But if I'm in a pod with 3 other blue farms, it's like, hey guys, don't worry about me. I'll get my Ristic.
Is there something to be said about doing that with other decks? Or do you think it's just the Artificer Shell, which is the everything but green, is just really good at playing that mid-range strategy? Like, I'm curious because like you're convincing me to not do what I do, which is like add redundancy where it's unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like I add more gas to the flame because I'm like, well, I kind of want to be blue farm, but I want to be able to go fast. And so because of that, I'm going to add these extra go fast pieces, Do you think like other decks and archetypes could take that lesson and apply it in the sense like, maybe like, what's an example? Like an Atali is so all in on the gas. And
Well,
it's
that's what
starting to get stuff.
Atali is the best at what it does. So it should really try and focus on strength, in my opinion.
Okay.
Same with Rogsai. I mean, either you're on wrong side or Rog side, but if you're trying to play a turbo Rog side and you add in a bunch of mid-range, you're kind of being a less good mid-range than blue farm. I mean, I can't personally speak to, being an expert on other lists. I only know farm, but if your deck is trying to really target and do one specific thing, probably watering it down and trying to have the option to do other things might not be as good. Whereas Blue Farm kind of is known as like the jack of all trades deck that can do everything. It can go fast, it can go long.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of playing to its strength of being the best at having options, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Last thing I want to ask is basically, how do you go through brewing different cards into the list? Because we in the deck tech we hit like ROG, and that's not necessarily. A lot of people are doing that now. There is like an archetype of Blue Farm that runs ROG, and that's the flare and all that other stuff, and the quick creature sacrifice tutors and things like that. But it wasn't always popular. I feel like you were one of the first people to pick that card up. And you do you brew constantly. Like you and me and Ian are like, we'll throw stuff into a group chat and talk about cards that people will probably laugh at us for talking about.
Definitely.
But how do you kind of go through that thought process? Because I do think it's important to do that and not feel judged, and like have like maybe a group of friends that you like toss ideas out to just to hear their opinions, especially people you like respect that you play with, or like that will give you like an interesting perspective. Do you just like look through your old collection? Do you Scryfall? Like, how do you kind of go about testing?
Well, I think a lot of people have fallen in the pitfall of Farm of saying, oh, it's solved. There are, a couple different packages, but it's already been figured out. And I don't really think that you should be accepting any status quo. I've tried cutting Force Negation. I'm currently not on Intuition.
Mm-hmm.
I've cut Fierce, SWAT, Ranger Captain, OBM. I've cut cards. I've cut Grand Abolisher.
Yeah.
I've tried all sorts of different things because you never know. You never know until you try it. You don't, cutting Breach, like, let's not get too crazy. But, a lot of cards that are generally accepted to be mainstay staples could be cuttable. And cards that are thought of to be bad, Steaming Symmetry being a perfect example, can turn out to be really good. And you won't know unless you try. So I've tried all sorts of goofy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really bad. And you try, 1 to 2 new cards per session, per tournament.
So you
don't want to.
That's a good way to think.
You don't want to change multiple variables at once because you won't know. But you try your your goofy card out, and it turns out to be pretty good. And then again, the reflection comes in. You think about, okay, well, man, if my Blasphemous Act had been a Toxic Deluge, like how would that game have played out differently?
Mm-hmm.
Or vice versa. If I didn't have access to SWAT and I had changed it into Grinding Station, or whatever the case may be. Think about at the end of the tournament how it would have played differently. What different decisions would you have made? And then you can kind of evaluate from there. And one tournament is not an adequate sample size, so you have to bring it to multiple tournaments. But you can usually tell if a card's really bad off one tournament if you draw it and you never want to see it and you never want to play it. And you're always like, oh, goddamn.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, in theory, this was great, but when I actually apply it to the game, shit, like, Paladin class was a really cool idea.
It was. That was a cool idea. That was fun to play, but it didn't work out.
But like, it's not, you're only wanting to tutor it, or like it's only good in hand in certain turns. So you're like, okay, maybe I don't put that in now. And maybe with like a more control shell, this actually makes sense. Things like that. Okay.
The thing with Paladin class, and this is a perfect example of, I couldn't have thought ahead to why Paladin class, Sean, you put it on the screen, right?
Mm-hmm. You see it.
I couldn't have thought ahead properly about why this card was bad, and it turned out to be bad because turn 1 I'm always either developing mana or using a tutor to set up for turn 2.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm trying to jam on turn 2, I don't have 1 extra white sitting around almost ever.
Right.
Later in the game, paying 1 extra doesn't really do much, and I'd rather pay 1 colorless extra to play a Voice of Victory, an extra white to play Grand Abolisher. There's so many effects, and extra mana to play a defense grid. There's so many better options. So in my mind, it was like, oh, perfect. It's like a permanent daze on every spell for my turn 2 win. But in reality, I never had an extra white floating around. And if you're trying to win on 2, you usually don't want to fetch white anyway. You want to be fetching your bad lands and your Underground Sea and really forcing that black mana.
Yeah. So it's so funny because like Paladin class is an example of this. And then I think it plays into the discussion about decks that are easy to goldfish and that are very linear or like combo heavy. And then there's decks like Blue Farm, which has combos. But like when I goldfish Blue Farm, it's like it's tough to like almost like artificially think about the cards you're going to draw, the extra cards you draw, what the opponents do.
It's difficult.
The deck needs to be played against opponents to realize its power. And so it almost makes me think about like how difficult that is to do with certain archetypes and why players gravitate towards these like combo decks like Atali, because they're easy to practice in a vacuum and like almost solitaire, versus decks that are much more difficult to play but are more powerful. And I wonder if there's other commanders that people could be playing, but they aren't because there's so many good commanders to choose from already, and playing them and practicing with them is difficult and punishing unless you've got them solved. You know what I mean?
Well, I think with farm, so with Itali, it probably makes sense to just jam games and learn by playing. With farm, I think it's valuable to play your tournament and then maybe spend some of that time reflecting, take out your deck, take out the cards, and think about look at the card and think what emotion did I feel when I saw this in the game? What could I have done differently with this card? What synergies does this card provide in my deck? And kind of think about, oh man, I didn't realize I had a line. If I tutor up Rain of Filth there instead of Dark Ritual, I'll get an extra mana and my graveyard has 4 more cards in it.
Yep, exactly.
And you don't realize that until you look at the card Rain of Filth sitting on your table, thinking through the lens of this tournament didn't go well. What can I improve? And if you're only thinking, man, that guy swords my Crom, what an idiot. And you're not thinking why did he even get that far? Why did I play Crom? I could have won the game if I tutored up Rain of Filth with this mystical tutor.
Yes, dude. Yeah, and it's so funny because it's such a jack of all trades deck. Every card has so much utility. I remember one of the unlocks with me when I started actually winning consistently with farm, because you pick the list up and you're an average CDH player. I still am, but you know what I mean? At the time when I picked it up, I was still new to the format. I would lose games and I'd be like, damn, how are all these other guys winning? I was in such a good position. And there's things like realizing Chain of Vapor bounces your own rocks. And just having that in the lexicon of knowledge.
Realizing Rograk has Menacing.
When you give it +1 or something, or what?
No, he had a curse out and he could have attacked a player with an S
Curse of Opulence
blocker.
Yeah.
Dang, that's just a little inside joke there, but things like that. You can cast Mindbreak Trap on an empty stack. I won a game by doing that. It's sick.
Yeah. Can you elaborate?
Yeah. So a player had a Stacks piece. This was a long time ago, obviously. Stacks piece involved a long time ago.
It doesn't exist anymore.
But he tried to win on top of a pack trigger on his upkeep. He got stopped, and I had a Burgie on the battlefield. His Stacks piece left. We went through his phases. On his end step, it passed to me. I cast Mindbreak Trap because he had cast more than 3 spells. I got a Burgie trigger. I tapped my 1 remaining land, and I offered my Mindbreak Trap.
Yeah.
Got on the Burgie trigger, got 2 treasures, cast Valley Footcaller.
Oh my god, dude. Making literally a win from nothing.
Yeah, I'd sacked off all my lands to Rain of Filth to stop him by casting Ad Nauseam. And so I wasn't going to get a window if I untapped, so it had to be then. And just knowing by reading the cards so many times, which a lot of my cards, as you'll see during the deck tech, are kind of obscured, but really thinking about the card, how could I utilize this card? What are all the use cases? What's the exact wording? What's the exact text on this card?
Yeah, 100%. And I think farm.
That comes down to reflection. You're not going to get that by playing 50 games. You're never gonna think of some of these lines unless you have somebody helping you. If you don't reflect on your
a group to think and remember your games. And the other thing is, if going back to the positive EV thing, if you don't piss off your opponents, you can go, did I do something wrong?
What can you help me? Here's my hand. What do you think? Should I have tutored this? What? And then a lot of people have really creative ideas. So you're like, wow, I didn't even think of that.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, cool, man. You have anything else you want to chat through? I'm trying to do this every time. Anybody you want to shout out? Anything you want to talk about? We're going to go into the deck tech after this, but is there anything you want to say at the end here? Or?
I've already shouted out a lot of people. I'm going to shout out some people in the deck tab who have helped me get cool cards. The last person I wanted to shout out was Josh from Better Plays. Better Plays, awesome store. If you're anywhere near Cleveland, you got to go to Better Plays. We run great CEDH event there. He just had the cookout where he made burgers and hot dogs for everybody and stuff. Man. I mean, that store is amazing. So huge shout out to Josh.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys, we'll go into the deck tech now.
All right. So starting out, I've got sort of a portrait theme for the deck, and that actually stems from this card right here. I met Winona at Land Go, and I asked her to do a portrait, and it turned out so good that I wound up using the card as a reference for a lot of other artists.
So this was the first one that you did that was basically you're superimposing the portrait of the card itself on the full card stock, basically.
Correct. Yep. So I used this as a reference when I went to Aaron Miller, the original artist for Crom, and I asked him to replicate the style. Portrait theme then was born. So I met Aaron. He actually turned this around really quickly for me. I believe it was a month or 6 weeks. I commissioned it in Chicago and was really happy with the results.
How do you, so before we go too far deeper, so do you just like reach out to them on whatever their socials are? Because I have not done like a full commission like this aside from like local guys. So do you reach out to the artists through their website and then they kind of give you the process for how to do it? Or do you like, can you kind of walk me through maybe with just Aaron specifically how this went down?
Sure. So I prefer to meet the artists in person, get to share my joy and excitement about their artwork, and then kind of show them the project that I'm working on, show them the deck as it stands, and see if they'd be willing to contribute. You can also reach out to artists on Facebook, on Instagram. They have websites or they use agents. So Mountain Mage, Mark Aronowitz, those are all different tools you can use. I like to go in person because I like to establish that connection, a face-to-face connection, get to know the artist a little bit. But for some artists, you know, who are international, don't want to come to the United States, the only option is to approach them online.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was going to say that because like some people who don't travel to all these tournaments, like they're going to be like, well, how the heck do I do this? You know what I mean? So like, I think that's the viable option is like, because I got my Lion's Eye Diamond commissioned by the artist and I got to sit there and talk to her for like 2 hours about how Wizards approached her to be an artist for them and like get that whole story. And I think you're right. Like that is the coolest thing because then every time you play that card, you see the art they did for you and you remember the conversations.
Exactly.
That just like adds another layer.
The whole deck is an experience. It's a trip down memory lane. You remember talking to Aaron and for this next piece here, Mark Poole. So Mark Poole is the original artist for Counterspell. I thought it fit well with the theme of Fierce Guardianship. Approached him with kind of a goofy idea and he liked it. Turned out pretty good.
Let me do the Counterspell image on top of Fierce Guardianship.
Yep.
Cool.
Following the exact same theme, I actually used that as a reference for RK Post to put SWAT on Deflecting SWAT. Kind of a play on words there.
That's awesome. And then all of them have their little signatures at the bottom. Yeah, a couple RK posts too. That's awesome.
This one was from Gen Con. Definitely recommend going to Gen Con if you're a fan of Magic art. A lot of artists are there and they're not crazy busy like they are at Magic Cons. Gen Con's also a 4-day event. I commissioned this piece on Thursday with Dan. Complete open prompt. Do whatever you want. He turned out this cool little shield banner with the colors of mana coming out, and I picked it up by Sunday.
I freaking love that. So where's Gen Con at? Is that in...
It's in Illinois. It's in, Indianapolis every year.
Okay.
4-day event. Definitely recommend. We drive out Thursday after work. I take Wednesday after work. I take Thursday, Friday off. We're there all weekend.
It's probably smart because you can get the artists before the general population gets there on the weekend. You can be like, hey, dude.
I go in first thing Thursday morning. I'm commissioning altars. First thing.
That's awesome.
They also have some Magic Play events, but don't go there only expecting to play because the events are starting to become scarce.
Really?
At Magic. Yeah. There was an invitational legacy event that was always awesome, and it was for you remember the 1 of 4 Dark Ritual? That's what it was for last year, the year before. But unfortunately, they discontinued that. There was a lot of drama on Twitter, and it became discontinued.
Damn. So is it like because events are basically getting taken up by more...
board games. It's a board game
other
convention.
Collectibles and things like that. Okay.
I like to play hearts and spades and things like that, you know.
Nice. Okay, cool.
This next piece, Mark Tedin killed. His altars are becoming harder and harder to get. For those of you who are astute on your old school, you might see several pieces here incorporated. The arm is from Time Twister. The little hourglass is from Time Twister. And the Vortex is from a card he did in Ice Age, Naked Singularity. It features 2 characters like accidentally showing a black hole, and it's a vortex, and they're getting sucked in. Really cool art. So I asked him to make the Soul Ring into the Vortex and then implement Time Twister.
Freaking sweet. I mean, the hourglass detail is insane. And then the Vortex itself, if you hadn't told me this was Soul Ring and I didn't look at it, I would never have guessed that that's like the original Fire Soul Ring. You know what I mean? Because he did such a good job blending the art. So
yep.
Sweet.
Next was one that I was a little nervous to get altered. So it's a near mint alpha mana vault. There are only 1,009 of each alpha rare ever printed. And the good cards were played heavily back in the 90s before sleeves were a thing. So many of them are damaged. Many of them went through the washing machine, got thrown out. So it's kind of hard to find good condition playable alpha rares. So I was apprehensive at the thought of having somebody draw on it, but Mark Tedin obviously did a wonderful job. My favorite artwork in the game, pretty much my favorite card in the game, is Time Vault. So I asked him to include the characters from Time Vault and make the basin from Time Vault. And then he also added in the detail of the characters here removing mana from the Mana Vault.
So it's like not only thematic and basically akin to your favorite art, but it blends with the actual card itself and like basically not just in image but in purpose, like what they're actually doing.
That's the gold standard, man. That's what I always hope for.
That's awesome. And like I didn't even know this was an alpha. That is so nice and crisp. That's really, really cool, man.
Thanks. Yeah, Soul Ring is too.
That's crazy.
City of Brass. So Mark's done several artwork extensions for me over the years. He did my Mana Crypt before that got banned. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
But I really enjoy on this one how he was able to show the perspective. It really looks like you're standing on a tower here and starting to look down on these buildings, but looking outwards on the buildings in the actual artwork. He also blended it so well, it's hard to tell exactly where the original artwork ends and his paint pens begin.
That's what I was literally about to say. I'm like, man, but when at first glance, if you're at a table like playing against you playing this deck, it would be tough to tell that is a blended card and it wasn't just like a full art card. You know what I mean? Which is so cool. Yeah. I feel like half the time I'll watch you play or I'll play against you and I'll see you just play cards casually. I'm like, these dudes don't even know what that card, like the amount of time you put into that specific card. And I think that's really cool.
The good condition Arabian Nights Altered City of Brass.
Yeah, man.
Hey, it was a lot of fun to get. Next is Red Elemental Blast. So I actually had this commissioned as a pair, Red and Blue Elemental Blast by Richard Thomas, the original artist. And I just asked for the Blue Blast guy dueling the Red Blast guy on each card. So he added the Blue Blast guy to the Red Blast card and the Red Blast guy to the Blue Blast card. I actually wound up trading the Blue Elemental Blast to a friend who needed it. But I also wanted to talk about something interesting with this card. It was updated from alpha to beta to change the card type. They incorrectly printed this as an instant in alpha. And you might be saying, well, it is an instant. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
But at the time, the card type interrupt would have been the correct thing to put in the type line there. And it was updated in beta and printed as an interrupt. But then later in the 90s, Wizards decided to axe that card type altogether. So now the alpha card, although incorrect at the time, is...
And sorry, by the way, we can cut this if you're like, I don't know off the top of my head, but the difference between instant and interrupt, they're both essentially instant speed spells, but they serve different purposes, and they basically were combined into instant at a later date, right?
I'm not sure what the original intent of interrupt was. I wasn't playing at the time.
Like maybe it's a specific counterpiece or something like that.
Maybe it's supposed to be played you can play it in response to something else, and instants are just like on your turn, I cast Blue Blast.
Yeah, right.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I'll have to look that up.
But yeah, cut that out.
Yeah, cut that out. All right, cool. Nice, man.
Moving on, we got the classic Frazier Mox Diamond. Everyone's seen a million of these.
I like it, though. The dragon art that he does. Yeah, we love it.
Mental Misstep. This is another Tedin.
Yeah, look at
I asked him to do a Mental Misstep, but make it countering a Soul Ring and countering a Mana Vault, because at the time, those were reasonable cards to counter.
Still are.
Yeah, nowadays I don't think people are using their missteps on those all that often, but...
I had a demonic consultation somewhere here.
Got another Frazier Dragon here. Something cool about this card is 6th edition actually didn't have foils. This is a promotional card.
Whoa! Okay, so how many of these do you know? How many were actually printed? Or
they're not all that rare, but it is kind of cool because at initial first glance you think, oh, it's a 6th edition foil, but doesn't exist.
That specific one is a promo. Oh, cool.
Yep.
Nice, man. Oh.
Mystic Remora. Really enjoy this.
This looks like Jordan Belfort or something. You know what I mean? It's a shark eating the fish. I love it. And that's a recent one, right? Like is this just like a random artist, or was this actually Ken Meyer?
This is Ken. All of these I try and get from the original artists.
Okay.
I have a separate section for coming up for alters that were done by not the original artist, but I try and go to the original artist whenever possible. It adds difficulty, which is fun, but also it supports the artists, because a lot of the artists don't make all that much money through Wizards, especially a lot of these artists like Ken, who did pieces 25 years ago, and they haven't really done anything recently. So it's really nice to support the artists and show that the art is a lot of what got me into the game when I was a little kid. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, like, I love talking to the artists, and yeah, you're totally right. Like, it's so funny. Like, I'm gonna go back to my LED story. She said she makes way more money now altering the cards than she did making on the original print of Lion's Eye Diamond. Isn't that funny? Like, and she really did it. Wasn't for the money because they didn't offer her like a huge amount at the time when LED was printed in Mirage. Wizards wasn't really like Magic. Sorry, was the game wasn't that profitable, and so they were being like really like scrappy with how they were getting artists. They were literally like at an art show, I think in Seattle, I'm pretty sure is where they were at when they found her, and they told her that the big selling point for artists was the artist proofs. And they were like, no artist thought at that time that they were going to make a bunch of money off Magic and it was going to go for 30 years. They were like, oh, cool, you're going to give me free promotional material.
Yeah, to use as business cards.
Exactly. And now those artist proofs are like, how expensive would an artist proof LED be? Like,
I don't even know.
It'd be crazy.
I don't even want to know.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. So yeah, sorry, I'm going to hover on this for 10 minutes, but.
Next, you'll see the return of Time Vault here. Another nod to my favorite piece. So I asked Mark to replace the head of the Sorcerer of Necropotence with Chaos Orb, and then I had the cool idea of the lava turning into the time going into the Time Vault. And he loved the idea and did an excellent job.
That's awesome, man. Oh my God. All these pieces. So did you do most of these in the last couple of years, or has this been like a progression?
Well, I started CEDH in 2023, so all of the CEH specific cards were done in a time since. But I had some altars. I tried to go basic land altars before that, so I could play them in any legacy or modern deck that supported a basic land base.
Yep.
But all of these have been fairly recent.
Nice.
Following the portrait theme here, we've got the portrait of Mr. Esper Sentinel. And Eric was really awesome. I pitched him the idea. He loved it. And he actually did this in less than a month at home. I asked him to do it in oil, and it turned out amazing. I also really enjoy getting permanents that are maybe not win the game permanents to get altars on, because then you can float them out. People can appreciate the art without needing to politic. Who's got a force of will for this?
That's
so Esper Sentinel, cast on turn 1, I get to stare at it all game and actually appreciate the artwork without having to overly politic about it.
Can we talk about how it is now canon that Esper Sentinel has a mustache? Brother put a mustache on him.
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
So that's canon because the artist did that, guys. So Esper Sentinel's got a stash. We got to talk about that. That's awesome.
Wishclaw Talisman, I did not get in contact with the original artist, but this is another Mark Tedin piece. Usually you're casting Wishclaw and activating it in the same turn, so you're spending 3 mana on a tutor. So I thought thematically it would be cool to add a portrait of Grim Tutor, since that's not, serviceable. You can't play that farm, but...
Heck yeah. I thought that was, for a second, I thought that was Turnabout, because it's got the same magic character on it, but that is totally Grim Tutor. Nice.
Odawara, for the longest time, Elena had no interest in actually doing hand-painted altars, but recently she started to come around. I commissioned this at Gen Con last year in August and just got my hands on it maybe a month ago, 2 months ago. Pretty happy with how it turned out, and I'm hoping that Elena keeps working, keeps doing altars.
Yeah, that's really sick. I love that dragon.
Beseech the Mirror, this is another Gen Con commission, and this one actually, Cynthia is really cool. I went up to her and asked her about an altar, and she wasn't interested. But after talking with her for about an hour, and she was interested in seeing some of the pieces that I had, so I showed her some of the pieces that I had, and she said she would be willing to try and whip something up for me, but not to expect anything. So I kind of expected like a little one-line portrait, but I would have been happy with that. And then she actually showed me this about an hour later, and I was overjoyed. And she tried to only charge me for premium signature. She said we could count it as a premium signature. So.
Oh my gosh. So that'd be like $20, right? Like,
yeah, it was 25 or $50.
You're
Obviously, no. I tipped her another probably $100 on top of that. But this was wonderful. So I'm hoping that she becomes more open to doing altars in the future, because this is amazing.
What other cards does she work on? I don't know her off the top of my head. Do you know like any other pieces? Or
I think her main card that is playable in CDH is Beseech the Mirror, but she does some cool like pencil stuff. I'll show the camera here. She does some really beautiful pencil work.
I mean, come on. Yeah, like that one's insane. That looks
let's see what card is on the back of this. Maybe that'll answer your question. I don't even remember. Ashiok.
Oh, I see. So you basically, the way you did this was, okay, these may not be CDH playable, but I'm going to grab the artist proof from you for cards that aren't necessarily super expensive that she's done. Give me something crazy and I'll make it a token of my deck.
If I see an artist proof artwork that I love, I will grab it and figure out a way to make it a token.
Right. Very cool, man. I love that. That's so
Speaking
cool.
of which, I have one that I want to show off. My girlfriend got this for me as a birthday present. It is done by an artist who sadly passed about 10 years ago. But that means that artist proofs weren't as big of a thing back then. So people weren't really commissioning really in-depth pieces like this. So it's incredibly rare, and I think it's absolutely beautiful.
That looks like a picture, like something that a game designer
Yeah, it looks
would
like
have
it's
done.
printed out.
Right. Very cool, man.
Moving on, here's another portrait here, Grand Abolisher. I love getting a little bit more detail on his face. You can kind of see how intimidating he is, which fits in with what he does in the game. When someone slams a GA, I mean, you're intimidated.
Also, mustache, goatee. Let's talk about that. And, dude, I feel like I would purposely not kill an Esper for a calling ritual to make sure that both of these land at the same time so I could, like, show them off. Because, like, just like thematically having both of those out with their faces would be so cool. Oh my gosh.
I'm pretty happy if I have an Esper Sentinel and a Grand Abolisher resolved in general.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
This is probably one of the coolest pieces that I own. So a little bit of backstory on this one. Erica wasn't signing for the longest time. She recently reopened her signatures. But before that, I'd been talking to her for quite a while, a couple months in email, about doing a detailed altar. She had never done one before. She'd only done artist proofs. She does this thing where she'll draw 3 lines here by the fairy or do a 1-line drawing of a fish. But she's never done an in-depth altar before. So I opened up the idea of doing one and showed her a couple pieces, and she was receptive to it. So I told her a complete open prompts, paint whatever you'd like. And this is what she gave me, and she told me is that the character here is actually from a folk story that's been passed down through generations in her home village in China. So,
oh, wow.
She's in China, hard to get a hold of, hard to mail cards to, but this turned out unbelievable, and it's the only one that exists.
Dude.
The only detailed Flusterstorm altar that exists. So, really special piece there.
That's awesome. And, like, the blend with the back and her signature, everything just blends so perfectly. Like, man, she crushed it. How long did it take her to do that?
Not that long, a couple months.
She's just a killer.
But yeah, I asked her, my only prompts to her were to leave the card name, the mana cost, and a little bit of the original art visible, and she just made it, just knocked it out of the park. So, hoping to see more altars from her in the community soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, we've got Rograk. This is a very recent commission. I got it in the mail last week, but Chris really knocked it out of the park here, Chris Seaman. He's done a couple altars for me in the past, and this is my favorite of them.
Dude. So not a lot of farm players are playing Rog, right? We'll get into maybe like deck choices in a little bit, but this was an interesting one that actually surprised me when you pulled it out. So
yeah, well, you'll see later in the list why it's in there. Going into some less detailed altars, these are in general artists that I couldn't talk into taking take-home commissions, or I'm currently waiting on commissions. So she painted the little wings on the channeler there at Magic Con Vegas, which was really nice of her. Calling the week, Scott really doesn't do altars.
Yeah.
I actually showed this to him at a show recently, and he said it was pretty cool because he refuses to do any altars, but he drew little swords in there, which is, I guess, kind of cool.
Yeah.
Gemstone Caverns. She had never done altars before either, but she drew a little dragon, and
nice.
She did a couple altars for a couple of my friends.
Nice.
This artist, Victor, actually told me no, he would not do an altar. And I asked him if he'd be willing to take a card home, name his price, take as long as he wanted, do whatever he wanted. And he said, absolutely not. I will never do an altar.
Wow.
Clearly that's changed. One of my friends talked him into it. And so I just bought this off my friend.
So he told you screw off, and then he made it for his buddy or for your buddy. That's hilarious.
I doubt it was at the same event, because if so, my people skills are really poor. But...
Yeah. Not this guy, but the other guy. Oh, dude, look at the wings on that. That's cool.
His normal altar is to add machine guns or add sunglasses. I've actually never seen one with wings, so I thought it was cool and bought it. I did not commission this myself. I bought it off Facebook.
You found it. Still cool.
This is one that was not done by the original artist. It's from an anime about gambling that I watched with my girlfriend, so I thought it was kind of a cool idea and just picked it up.
Excellent art though. So did you just like have somebody online do it, or?
Yeah, there's a guy on Facebook who does anime altars. I can't remember his name. I commissioned one for Francesca that he absolutely killed, so I gave him this one as a kind of a fun.
Do it again, yeah.
Just a fun little project. All of my other aftermarket altars are from Anders Schmidt, AS Altars. He's one of the best in the community. He did this by hand with airbrush, and my prompt to him was, I think stone angels are cool, so if you can figure out a way to do that with Felwar stone. I mean, I thought he was just going to replace the artwork, but that's not usually how he rolls. So he figured out Atlas holding up the sky, but the sky is the Felwar stone. And then add a sick outer space background.
That's insane. I like see this every time you play it, and I'm like, oh, this is just like one of those covers, you know what I mean? But it's not. It's airbrushed. That's insane.
Airbrushed by hand. Yeah, everything in this deck is by hand. So
cool.
And this is another one that you're never going to politic over. It's not going to go on the stack and get ignored. You play it, and you put it on top of your stack of mana rocks and just salivate over it.
Chilling, yeah.
My decon, I asked Anders to, my only prompt to him for this one was to include the head of Juzon Jin somewhere in there. And he actually worked it into the rock formation. If you look carefully back there, which I thought was a really cool idea. And then the little genie phantasm is going and giving the, consultation to the character.
And it's coming out of the eye right there. So you have like that whole flow all the way through. It's just so nice, man. Cool.
This one Anders did for me as a present. I actually was able to get him an altar that was really difficult to get done. That he lives in Europe, so I went to a convention. He mailed me his card. I got it altered for him. It took 4 or 5 conventions with the artist to actually get it done. So he did this as a thank you, and he did a Force of Will for Francesca, who was also key to getting that done.
Nice. That's insane, man.
Ancient Tomb, this is another Anders one. Complete open slate, do whatever you want. Turned out sick.
I feel so bad glossing over these, but it is insane.
Force of Will, so this was a project with Anders. I did a playset of Force of Wills for my Legacy deck, and it was supposed to be Halloween themed. So he did 4 Force of Wills that are really flow well, but they all have different character. Different character here, different character here. So they all are slightly different and unique, but they flow well together. And this was my favorite because I think the work that he did with the Phantasm here, the Headless Horseman, is just amazing. The glowing eyes, and you feel like you can see through them.
It's insane. And like the fact that he was able to blend like the fire element and then the Phantasm over there in the front. And like you almost forget that this is the Force of Will guy. You know what I mean? Because it's blended so well into the whole piece.
Yeah.
Made him a witch.
Moving on from the altars, masterpieces, I absolutely love. I think the art direction was just impeccable here. Getting the art to work together with the frame, and specifically in Mox Opal, I love the reds and the purples and the greens. Just think these are great.
100%. And tough to find.
Mana Confluence as well. This is another one I think the art is just amazing on. Moving on, I've got my black cards here that are available in Old Border Foil.
I'm hunting for this. That Diabolic Intent is on my radar for sure.
They're harder to find in good condition. I mean, you can find one that's got damage on it pretty easily, but they're pretty hard to find in good condition.
Right. Nice, man.
Moving on, you'll see the same thing here for the blue cards that are available in that printing.
Oh, the foil chain, man. I got the first 2, but that foil chain.
I found that one hard to find too.
It's on my list, yeah. Brain Freeze was a catch. Last Pittsburgh, I found that one just randomly at the beginning of the convention, and then I showed people I got it. They were like, "Son of a bitch! I just went around looking for that too." So
nice.
Brain Freeze is tough to find. Original foil, like you're saying, in any type of like decent condition, it's really hard.
It's a great feeling when you're hunting for a specific card and your friend is too, and you beat him to the punch.
In the same convention.
Next we've got the fetch lands here, all in original foil.
Nice.
It's my favorite printings for these. I actually kind of wish the Bloodstained Mire were unsigned. I try and go unsigned with these, but
Could you still hunt one down?
yeah. I just haven't put in the effort yet.
Yeah.
I don't mind the signature too much.
Nice.
Next, I've got the Zendikar Fetch Lands in Japanese foil. These were kind of hard to find, so it's pretty cool. I'm actually looking to upgrade these to English non-foil signed. But they're all different artists, and a lot of the artists are hard to get signatures from. So I'm waiting till I have the full set assembled before putting them in the deck.
Why non-foil?
That's just what I do for. You'll see for the rest of the deck.
Oh, okay.
It's all non-foil signed black. Moving on, Alpha is my favorite set alongside Legends. So I decided to go with the Alpha Tundra here.
Casual.
Plateau was the last Alpha dual land I needed for my set. I actually found it on Facebook and met a guy at Gen Con and did the deal in person.
Dude, Gen Con's the way to go is what you're telling me.
Gen Con is the way to go. Got a Badlands here, not too much to say about that one. Scrubland, funny story with this one. I bought an Alpha Scrubland to play, and I didn't realize that it was like dead mint. And then I went to sleeve it to play it and realized like this is actually a gradable card. And so I bought a second Alpha Scrubland to play in my deck while the other one collects dust. Yeah, the nice one's collecting dust in my binder, but this one's playable.
So would you like? How long ago did you get all these duels? Were they a couple years ago? Like
mostly 20. Let's see. Would have been 2019 through 2024, 2023. It was after the huge spike. I actually overpaid on a lot of these compared to today's market, but it was a really fun project. And for instance, this Underground Sea, did a trade with a buddy through the mail, and we just mailed each other, $12,000 of Alpha cards at the same time. But when you have the friendships built up and you've done, hundreds of thousands of dollars of deals with one person, they're not going to screw you.
Yeah, right. It's different than buying a freaking TCG player or something. Where you're like, this is definitely going to be a proxy or something. Nice.
Moving on here, Volcanic Island. You may notice that one's beta. It's because it wasn't printed in alpha. But something neat I thought I'd bring to the attention here is, you notice the inside border here, where the artist name credit is a little bit darker than the other duels when you put them side to side. The reason for that is the cards that were different between alpha and beta, or the cards that were left off the alpha print sheet, received this slightly darker inner border treating to show that there was some sort of change.
So that it literally is to differentiate the two sets versions of the same card.
Yeah. So if there's different wording, different artist credit, some of the cards had incorrect mana costs, or Cyclopean Tomb didn't have a mana cost in alpha. Different power toughnesses. I think there were 23 cards that were changed between alpha and beta, and the beta versions have darker printings. So that's why this alpha or this beta Volcanic Island has a darker inner border than the alpha duels and the other beta duels.
Nice.
Dark Ritual. Currently in line to get this Alpha Dark Ritual altered by Sandra. I think it's going to look awesome with just bring a character down here, make it bigger, or if she wants to do something else, let her do something else.
So you've given her kind of creative freedom, but...
I always do that with the artists. If they're not into doing portraits, then I would rather them be excited about working on the project, because I'm going to get a much better product than telling them, I want you to do exactly this, and this. I try and give free reign to the artists.
Sweet.
As much as possible. Demonic Tutor. It's another one I love the artwork on.
Casual.
And I love how the text takes up the whole text box.
Yeah, it just kind of adds the authenticity of the age of the card, right? Like nowadays, everything's so perfectly like with a computer digitized to the exact spec, but then back then they were like, close enough.
Yep.
This
Wheel of Fortune I bought at MagicCon Vegas and cracked out of a BGS 8.5 sleeve to play. And then I've been in Daniel Gellin's altar line for about 3.5 years. I can't wait to have him paint on this. He does incredible altars. I'm actually going to send him quite a few of my alpha cards to work on. But you definitely have to wait. Yeah, you got to wait if you want Daniel Gellin.
3.5 years?
3.5 years, and I haven't sent him my cards yet. So if you want an altar from him, you better plan accordingly.
I'm not putting this video out until I send my altars in. Put in line first. Might as well. 3.5 years.
Moving on to the signed card portion of the deck. Force of Negation used to be a rare signature. Now it's much more common.
Do you see that happen a lot? Like artists figure out that their signature is worth money and they...
Well, usually the rare signatures are because the artist has chosen to stop signing or is impossible to get into contact with. And then when that changes, they flood the market and everybody thinks, I can spend $8 to get a signature and sell it for $100. In this card, this signature used to be worth $100.
And now it's less because...
And now the artist is signing frequently, so everybody sent in all their force and negations they could get their hands on, so now it's more common. The Bergie, I'm considering getting another Dish Champs portrait on this, but I'd have to commit to doing a front and a backside, so I want to make sure it's a mainstay in farm before I invest the time, money, and effort into doing that.
Fair enough.
Grinding Station. Starting Town, this is a new acquisition. These are just hitting the market now, the signatures. Huge shout out to Jamie McBride. He actually helped me get a lot of cards for this deck, including the Starting Town.
Nice. Oh, the coolest signature. Look at that.
Yeah, somebody actually wrote their name instead of scribbling or writing a shape.
I just think it's cool. I like how he did it. OB, you know. I don't know. That's sweet.
This artist has some excellent artist-proof sketches that he auctions in the group frequently, and you can get them at great deals. Underworld Breach, this is one I'm hoping to get an altar of at some point from the artist. I think it'd be really cool to do a portrait of this gentleman or to bring the artwork down because there's so much going on in the scene. Usually you don't really get to appreciate the artwork because somebody's winning the game when this hits the battlefield and you're packing your stuff up, or you're winning the game and gloating.
Yeah, that's when it's good to do. Same thing with Abolisher, right? Like you're like, all right, well, this usually means the game's ending one way or another. So, yeah.
Voice of Victory. This one I want to shout out Mark Polk, another Toledo guy, good friend of mine. He's helped me source quite a few cards for this deck, including the Voice of Victory. He sent in a copy for me to get signed without me even having to ask him, which was just so nice of him.
Mark's a man, dude. I love that guy. While you're going to the next one, like I always love playing against him, just like you, because you get to he always has the blingiest cards.
Yep.
So like I'm always like, oh, Mark, what'd you bring today? And if he says a different deck that I'm used to seeing him play, I'm like, yes, I get to.
He's got an altered foil Grim Monolith that is amazing.
Gross,
but he actually also got me this card.
Nice. Yeah, Lotho. Like a lot of these newer artists, I'm like, man, you really had to hunt for these to get signed, right? Because it's very interesting.
You either have to hunt for them in the groups or send in your cards. This Mystical Tutor, I was actually looking at one that the artist altered. He replaced the head with Albert Einstein's head, but it was unfortunately on a Korean Mystical Tutor, and I'm trying to go just English, even though my commanders and a couple other cards in here are Japanese. I'm trying to go back to English.
What's the reason for that shift?
Oh, just trying to make my deck a little bit more uniform.
Uniforming. Nice.
This Mox Amber really tried to talk Steve into doing an altar a couple different times, but he's just not interested. He might do a light altar, but he's not going to do a kind of portrait in-depth altar that would find its home in my deck. Those of you who know signatures probably appreciate this one. This one was very hard to find. Chippy doesn't sign, and Chippy stops signing right around when Gitaxian Probe is printed. It's an ultra super staple in Vintage, so people in Vintage usually have the money to buy what they want, so that's driven the signed Gitaxian Probe price very high. I actually traded a Wheel of Fortune for this, straight up, 1-for-1.
Oh my god. Yeah. Just tells you.
This is another rare signature. So, the cool thing about Fairy Mastermind, many of you may know this, but there was a tournament way back when that Wizards hosted every year. The winner of the tournament got to work together to design a card with Wizards, and the artwork features that person's likeness.
Yep, this is Yuta, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So some of the cards from that were Bob.
Oh man,
Bob.
Yeah.
Dark Confidant.
Dark Confidant.
That's the one.
Thank you.
Meddling Mage, Snapcaster Mage.
Not like if you're a new player like me, 2022, 23, and then 24 for CDH, like. Some of these I'm like, what? You know what I mean?
Void Mage Prodigy, you know that one?
Nope. I know Bob, even though it's never played in CDH anymore, but...
I'd love to get Yuta's signature on here too, but I'm not looking to mail this card out. It was really hard to get the copy of the card signed by the artist, so I'm not looking to part with it for now.
Yeah. Raggy, Exotic Orchard, yep. So the rest of these are basically going to be artist signatures straight up. Yeah.
Yep.
I like that Swan song.
This one I'm definitely hoping to get Chris to work on. He would do an absolutely phenomenal job of maybe extending these heads down and making a bigger version of this character coming out of the bottom of the card as a portrait. I know he would just absolutely kill that. So once I see him at a convention soon, I'll pitch the idea to him. Horn upon a Wind, problematic card.
Yeah, might get banned. We'll see.
This is a cool one. This one was hard for me to find. It was signed before the year 2000, which is kind of neat. But the artist doesn't sign all that much. Those of you who are familiar with signatures probably know the name Lance Liberto. He was able to hook me up with this piece. Silence. This one was a pain to get signed. Wayne is an interesting individual. He was at Gen Con 2 years ago, and he was signing cards for 5 people a day. So there was a huge line to get to talk to him. And he, the first guy who was in line said something that he didn't like, and he told him, "Get lost. I'm not signing your stuff."
Oh my gosh.
So,
wow.
I don't think it was anything crazy, like politically charged or anything crazy. He just said something about like a goblin or something, and Wayne was like, "Yeah, I don't do goblins. Get out of here." But
is he an older guy?
He is, I'd say 60s maybe. I'm not
crazy old or anything like that. Yeah,
I'm not sure exactly his age, but I made sure to keep my mouth, pretty shut when I got to the front of the line. Yeah, exactly. Ranger Captain, I really tried hard to get a portrait alter of this, but Ryan was just not interested in taking on the project. Maybe in the next year or two, like Elena Danner and some of the other artists, he'll decide to change his mind. One thing I will advise is, if an artist says no, take no as an answer. A lot of artists have stepped away from signing and working on magic things in general because our community tends to be very forceful, and people decide, I want this and you're going to do it, and I'm going to not take no for an answer. And that's just not really acceptable behavior.
Yeah, especially from somebody who basically is a passionate creative person, that they're not trying to wheel and deal you. Like, they're there to...
Exactly.
They're going to meet people that appreciate that.
And that's another thing. If you're commissioning alters, try not to haggle with the artist. I mean, it's kind of insulting if someone asks you to do something and then haggles with you over the price of your creation.
Your services. Yeah, I mean, I get it if it's like a transactional thing that's a services business, but you're asking them to... Art's just different.
Art is different.
Art is definitely up to the interpretation. If you're coming to someone to ask them to modify an art piece that they've already done, I feel like it's not something that... You're right. It's not a negotiable. It's like,
not appropriate to haggle.
Yeah. Especially when you're asking them to put effort into something. Yeah.
Well, you're asking for them to basically put a piece of their soul like onto your card.
Yeah, exactly.
Put a piece of themselves onto your card, and then if you're trying to say you're worth less, that's not...
It's like, hey man, maybe you should just wait till you can afford my services.
Yeah, my services are worth this much is what artists should be saying, and not haggling. But it just could be a little bit offensive.
Yeah.
Final Fortune, I had a 7th foil, but I actually opted to get a signed one because I think it's cooler. I like the there was no 7th edition all had new artwork, so I actually like this artwork a little bit better.
That's my version too. I love the original Final Fortune.
Command Tower, Ryan Yee told me a hilarious story when he was signing this. This was in 2023, and he told me he hadn't checked his mail since before COVID. He was accepting mail-in signatures, but had not checked his mail in over 3 years.
How big was that freaking mailbox?
I cannot imagine.
Command Tower? Like, it has to be
He's
insane.
done a bunch of playable cards, and oh my goodness, I can't imagine. Shout out to Steve at Warpgate. He helped hook me up with this one.
Steve's a man.
Love that store. Smothering Tides. So this one, I actually had an English non-foil original print signed, and I opted for the confetti foil instead. I was able to get this for $300, believe it or not, which, as of time of filming, the value of this card is...
Oh, it's through the roof.
A multiple of that, several multiples of that. Yeah. But it was a cool experience, and it was fun, and Francesca helped me find it, so it was a cool little memory, and that's the nice thing about collecting, is no one can tell you you're wrong.
Yeah.
And you get to mismatch your cards if you want to. If you like white border, you can do that.
And in specific situations, like I'm like you, I'm very, I don't want to say OCD, but like I like things to be same or different or have like a pattern to them. But sometimes part of that is breaking the pattern intentionally and having something that's really special like that. And the fact that, your girlfriend basically helped you find that, I think is really cool. And it's like a nice way to break intentionally,
My friend had a deck in Legacy and Modern each, and his idea was I'm going to have a different artwork in a different language for every single card.
Oh my gosh.
So cards, he ran almost exclusively play sets, as one does in 60 card, and he would find as different a card as possible to have those play sets. So you would have an English non-foil original ley line, and then he would have a Russian foil reprint with a different art, and
that was so
his
fun
thing.
with like secret layers and stuff. Also a nightmare for your opponent to be like, what is that? Is that the same card? Or
he said he got EV from people surgically and missing cards, or people crack Bobble and look at the top card of your deck. They don't know what it is. And they have to call a judge, and then it's not a fetch land or things like that. Imperial Seal, absolutely love this printing. When I was young, when I was getting into the game, this was a very desirable card. Still is, but back then it was really desirable. So I just love the artwork.
Was this an original that you picked up when you were younger?
This one, oh man, when did I pick this up?
version?
I don't even remember when I picked this up.
A while ago.
Before I got into CEDH. Lion's Eye Diamond, haven't figured out what I want to do with this card. I've had numerous opportunities with Margaret. I'm just not sure. And I thought about having Anders work on it, but he is not a huge fan of working with this piece, you told me. So still figuring it out.
It's a tough card to alter. She was struggling with mine. She had to kind of wipe away her art and then restart a couple times because she's kind of shaking a little bit now. And so it's interesting that you're saying that. I don't know much longer you're going to have for LED. So hopefully a long time.
This one's an easy one to get signed. I just haven't gone through and done it. Matt's done a couple alters for me, so I know he's available. The last couple cards, I still need signatures, so if you have it, please comment on the video. Reach out to me. Taru.
I have that.
You have a signed Scheming Symmetry?
I
Oh
do.
boy, we're going to have to talk off camera. And then talismans. Like I have a couple talismans that I'm looking to get. And that's it. That's the deck.
Sweet. Thanks,
Hope you
man.
enjoyed.